What up, senpais? It's Dre here with Yokuso Otaku, and today we are going to be talking about the winter 2022 anime lineup. First thing I want to note about this season is I am just not that excited for it. I really am not. We have a bunch of isekai, we have a bunch of sports stuff, there's a whole bunch of short form things and mixed media that was in there, and honestly, I'm just not all that excited. But some of the best anime for this season is out already. So right now, you guys can go and start watching the Entertainment District for the Demon Slayer anime, and it is fantastic. I am absolutely loving it so far. There's only 2 episodes out at the time of this recording. We got some more that are coming out. And also, super huge for us, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean, which, if you guys aren't familiar with it, the background image there that we have, our little artwork, that is literally from Stone Ocean season. So we have been incredibly hyped to watch it, and they kicked it off with 12 episodes on Netflix. They are out now. You can watch them, and they are beautiful. I love them so much. I think this is going to be one of the hypest seasons ever. If you guys don't know too much about me, I actually work in a prison, and that is where Stone Ocean is set. Now, granted, where I work is nothing like where Jolene is put, but it's still really exciting and it's really cool. I love seeing it. You guys should absolutely check that out. I cannot say enough about it. I know JoJo's one of those things that you either love or you hate, but if you do love it, if you're one of them, check it out if you haven't already, although you probably already have. It's really good. And if you have seen it, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I would super love to hear about it. Moving into stuff that is coming out that is not stuff that I'm already really excited about, we have Detective Conan, the Police Academy arc. Detective Conan was also known in the US as Case Closed. It was even brought over as a manga out here, and it's started all the way back in 1994. It's about a high school detective who's transformed into a child, and he solves cases by impersonating other people. I personally have never seen Detective Conan myself. I don't know if it's anything I should really be excited about, but I'm probably going to check it out. Next on our list is Kanashiki Debu Neko-chan, and if you don't know what that means, it basically means sad fat cat. It is a short series, and it's probably the only short series that I will be talking about that's coming out from this season. It is about a cat named Maru who's well fed and fat, but one day the family brings home another cat companion, and he doesn't get along with them, and the family has some choice words for the cat. So the cat decides it's just gonna leave and travel the world. I personally want to see it, but I'm not really sure where this one is at online to watch. If you guys are familiar with that, let me know, because especially Bree really wants to watch it. I think there's already 8 episodes of it out too. So next up is Sororio Utility, which airs December 31st. So it is the first one that I'm mentioning that is not out already. I don't have a whole lot of info on it. I watched a little bit of the trailer. It looks super cute and wholesome. It's a sports anime. I really don't like sports animes, but it's about golf, and I do kind of like golf, and it has 3 little girls and them going through some golfing stuff, so it might be interesting if you guys like golf, or you guys just like sports animes in general, or maybe just slice of life with young women. It might be right up your alley. Next up is the Isekai in the land of Leadale. It airs January 5th, 2022, and is about a girl who falls into an accident and gets put into a coma. And while she's on life support, she plays a VR MMO, which she gets really into because it's kind of her only way of observing the world or having any sort of experiences with people. But one day, the life support shuts off and she dies. Surprise! She wakes up in the VR world and has to live in this MMO, and even runs into characters that she's created herself. It sounds interesting, but I'm just not an isekai guy. If you guys are, and you are excited for this, I'd like to hear about it. Maybe you could convince me to give it a go. I not really that enthused to watch it personally, and I might not even watch it this season. We also have Police in a Pod, which airs on January 5th as well. It is based off of a manga series, which was actually recently turned into a Japanese television drama. I think it had about 9 episodes. I didn't see it, but I did see that that was a thing. It's about a female police officer who is kind of really tired of her police job, I guess, and she's looking to turn in her resignation. But around that time, she finds that there's a new female director that's assigned to her station, and she's really interested in her, kind of sees her as a role model, I guess, and so she decides to stay on the force and spend some time with her role model. Thing really sounds kind of a little hokey to me, but it could be interesting. If that's something that you guys are interested in or maybe know more about than me, once again, let me know. I'd like to hear about it. I actually probably might watch at least 1 or 2 episodes of this one just to get an idea of it. Airing on January 6th, we have Orient, and it is a story about a 15-year-old boy named Musashi, and it takes place during Japan's Sengoku period. So at this time, Japan is ruled by demons, and samurai are considered taboo. Musashi tries to confront the demons with certain special powers. This one looked a little interesting, like animation-wise to me, but I'm really, again, not really sure how I feel about it. It seems like there's a lot of historical stuff this upcoming season, and historical stuff really hasn't set well for me, even though I do have a little bit of interest in history. It just kind of is what it is. January 6th, again, we have Tokyo 24th Ward, and this one actually sounds interesting to me. I looked actually at the website. They have a partial English website that you guys can check out. It's about some childhood friends who live on an island together, and they are very dissimilar to each other, but very tight-knit. Something happens. It was kind of not described very well from anything I could see, but they separate, and later they come back to a memorial service with one of their friends that passed, and while they are reunited, they get a phone call, and it's from the person who died, and that person tells them that they have to make a decision about the future. Really, there's nothing explained or any sort of detail that I'm finding on it, but the premise has got me a little interested. This is absolutely probably one that I will be checking out, and if you guys have any more info on it, I'd be interested in hearing it, because it actually sounds like it's something that's pretty close, right up my alley for what I like. Continuing on, the last one that's airing on January 6th that I have on my list is Sayuki Reload. So it is loosely based off of the Chinese novel Journey to the West. There is a great yokai who is slain by a god later in the current time, is attempted to be resurrected. In doing so, it actually makes all the yokai across the land go insane, and they start attacking humans. So 4 people set out on a journey. They want to try to stop the experiment from destroying the world. The premise sounds actually kind of interesting to me. I don't know a whole lot about it. It's apparently been out for a little bit. There's been multiple seasons and movies previously released, dating all the way back to 1999. So it's a pretty well-established show, and I'm actually kind of surprised I hadn't heard about it at all. We'll see. That one I'll probably give a couple episodes to. I'm not overly pulled into that, but it could be something interesting. So the next one we've covered before, because I actually thought it was coming out before, and I'm not really sure why, but World Ends Harem is coming out on January 7th, and if you guys don't remember that, or you didn't see the previous video that I've done that covered that one, it's about a main character who's placed into cold sleep for 5 years, and he wakes up, and he finds out that there's this virus called the male killer virus, which has wiped out 99.9% of all males in the world. So when he wakes up, he is literally on a planet that is entirely girls. And yes, this is a super inappropriate anime. If you guys don't like any of the things that I really don't want to say on YouTube, but I think you get the idea with the whole world harem. Yeah. It looks interesting. I'm interested in this, and I've talked to Brie about this too, but she actually agrees with me. It sounds crazy and funny enough that it just might be interesting to watch. So I actually am going to check this one out. You guys might even see a review on the page of it. In fact, I probably absolutely will have a review of it on the page, because I really want to know where this goes. So when the main character wakes up, he finds out that the total of men on Earth, including himself, are 5 that are resistant to the virus and hasn't died. So he's put into a position where he must mate with the women to save the world. And also finds himself involved in a global conspiracy revolving numbers. I don't really know what that means. It all just sounds kind of hokey and loosely put together to set a scenario up where a man is just like covered in women. It does look funny. It looks like it's actually really entertaining from like a hilarity aspect. So I will be checking it out and seeing where that goes. If it's literally just purely H content, probably not going to watch it all that long. I would at least want to give it a chance, because I think that there might be a little bit of comedy gold in there. There's got to be some meme-worthy content. Slow Loop also comes out on January 7th. This one sounds very interesting to me, actually. I'm not a big slice of life person, and I'm also not someone who's big into fishing. This one's based around recreational fishing, and it's about a young girl whose deceased father taught her how to fish, and one day she goes out to the sea to fish alone. While she's out there, she surprisingly meets another girl at sea, which she brings back with her. The two form a very strong bond over fishing and cooking, and the anime series kind of takes place with them building that relationship and some of the trials and tribulations of life, I guess. January 8th, we have an anime called Q that's coming out. And I don't have a whole lot of information on it, but it is a music anime based off of a Japanese mobile game that's about training voice actors. I do have a little bit of interest in voice acting, and, I've met a bunch of voice actors at different anime conventions that we've gone to, and I kind of really respect the craft, obviously, as someone who has a background with audio recording, but I don't know that I'm really that interested in this. I remember K-On! When it first came out, and that one pretty much, and I know this is a rough opinion, but that one kind of ruined music anime for me. Like, after that, I was kind of really, I don't necessarily find myself gravitating towards music animes at all. But if that is something up your alley, that might be something worth checking out. Also on January 8th, we have The Strongest Sage with the Weakest Crest, and that's another kind of fantasy-based anime. It's about this powerful sage who's trying to figure out how he can become stronger, and so he decides that the best way to do that is to reincarnate himself. He finishes his reincarnation, and he gets the results that he was looking for, but he finds out that the new world he's born into thinks that he's just marked out to failure. So the anime takes place with him setting out to prove them all wrong and become the most powerful sage. Moving on to January 9th, we have My Dress Up Darling. Something else that just seems like it's really out of my normal sphere of anime, but it's a romantic anime about a high school student who wants to become a Hina doll craftsman. If you guys aren't familiar with Hina dolls, the best way I can describe them is kind of a traditional doll that's very, very small, and they're usually on like kind of a little rectangular plaque. You guys can look that up online, but it's something that you probably have seen if you are interested in Japanese stuff. So he does that craft, and one day while sewing at school, a very popular girl comes up and takes interest in what he's doing. The reason why is because she wants to do cosplaying and sees how he has wonderful skills with sewing. She asks him to make a costume for her, which is, I guess, out of his sphere, really, because while he's sewn, he sews very small things, and this is a whole human-sized dress. But I'm assuming that it's just a romantic, possibly comedy at times, about these two students and the relationship that they form over this connection. Again, on January 9th, we have Akebi's Sailor Uniform. It's a slice of life about a girl who lives in the countryside, and she wins entrance to a prestigious middle school. The only other information that I have on that is that her two main goals are to wear the school's sailor outfit and to make 100 friends. Again, not really pulling me in on the synopsis of this one, but if you guys like slice of lives and you guys like, the young women and their experiences in school in Japan, this one might be up your alley, and maybe it is something that I should be checking out, so let me know that too. Also on January 9th, we have Miss Kritsu from the Monster Development Department, which is one of those fun animes with the really long mouthful titles. It's about a main character who's an assistant researcher for an evil organization which battles heroes that are trying to save the world. The show focuses on the character's life, where he has to meet these absurd requests from the organization and add new features to the superhumans, and he never gets to take a vacation. So he could be an interesting character. I like the idea sometimes when they take a twist on something by focusing on the bad guys over the good guys. We get so many like good guy animes or good guy, just any sort of like medium, we get a lot of stuff that's about the good guys. And so this one's about a guy who works for the bad guys, which I think maybe makes him a little bit more neutral than we'd think. I'm not really super sure, but I'm going to give this one a chance. I'm pretty interested in it. I'll probably be watching at least 1 or 2 episodes, and this one's definitely going to end up probably on my review roster. So keep a lookout for that when it comes out. Rusted Armors is another anime coming out on January 9th, and it is a historical anime about a samurai mercenary group and a warlord who team up to fight a war in order to protect and unify Japan. It's set in the Sengoku era. There's a lot of history that's around this one. I guess the samurai group and the warlord were real historical figures. I'm not familiar at all with that story or anything about them, but if you guys are interested in historical facts, that might be something that you're wanting to check out. Personally, I'm not too sure. I do like samurai, but I just don't know that this one is something that's extremely interesting to me. Requiem for a Rose King, also premiering on January 9th of 2022, is based off of an early draft of Shakespeare's Richard III, and the story follows Richard as he stands between worlds, classes, and between good and evil. Honestly, that one's just ripped from the official synopsis. I didn't know how to put that one any better. I don't know anything about the Richard III story or the early draft of any Shakespeare stuff that's revolving around that. It was listed as supernatural, which is up my alley, and maybe that is worth checking out. I'd like to know more about the details on it. The artwork for it looks pretty good, which is always a good thing. So I'll just be checking that one out. I might get a review out too when that airs, and we'll try to flesh out some more details on it. Finally, the last one airing on January 9th is Futso Boys, and it is another one where I don't have a ton of information on it. It's a soccer-based anime, and it's going to be released alongside a mobile game. I do know that it was supposed to come out much earlier, and it ended up not coming out because I guess they wanted to work on the game more. It's obviously very important for them to release the two mediums at the same time. Again, like the sports anime, if you like them, you like them. If you don't, you don't. I'm not really a big fan. I'm probably going to pass on this one. Also, not really wanting to play a mobile soccer game at all. January 10th, we have Tribe 9. This is another sports one, but there's an interesting enough twist in it that I might actually end up checking this one out. So this is a futuristic baseball anime that takes place in 23 fictional wards in Tokyo. And in this time, outlaws duel in a method known as extreme baseball, where they fight each other for prestige. The synopsis itself doesn't really drag me in heavily, but the artwork looked interesting, and I don't know, the idea that it's more like outlaws fighting each other instead of like a more traditional organized sports league, it's got me interested. I'm at least curious. I'm curious enough to watch 1 or 2 episodes. If you guys know more about this, let me know. Sabikui Bisco airs January 10th, 2022, and I can almost guarantee I didn't pronounce that right at all. It is an action anime set in the future where a rust wind threatens to wipe out all of humanity. The main character lives in a now desert world and acts as a noble thief, causing chaos around Japan. It was kind of interesting. Some of the descriptions said that he has a bow and uses like magical mushrooms to protect himself. I don't know what kind of protection magical mushrooms do for you. Not that I have any personal experience with that, but I don't ever imagine them protecting me. But in this world, they do. And while he's traveling around Japan, causing chaos, he eventually meets a companion, and they're faced with an evil plot from a prefecture governor, for whatever that means. It's like one of those little things that they like to give us nibbles of to get us interested. Post-apocalyptic stuff is right up my alley. I kind of like it, even with the mushrooms and the bow and arrows and the weird noble thief stuff going on. It may be a lot better than that. I have actually found a lot of times these descriptions don't really do the biggest amount of justice for what the actual shows are. So we'll be checking this one out. This one's definitely kind of got my interest on the radar. January 11th, we have Genso, Sengakushi, Tengan, Rai Shinki. Another thing that I probably slaughtered. I at least said it really slow. This one kind of surprised me when I read about it more because it's an anime adaptation of a video game called Fantasia Sango for the PC. It was an RPG, I guess. I have no familiarity with it at all. I'd be interested in hearing if anyone has played that. It's set during the Three Kingdoms period in China, and a fighting unit is reassembled from a diverse group of characters. There wasn't a whole lot of information I could go on this one. I did try looking up some more stuff, and I really couldn't find out much. From what I did see, I don't have a whole lot of interest. I think it's going back to more of that like historical time set, and I think that the graphics for it, the animation, didn't really look all that exciting. But I could be proven wrong. I have been proven wrong before, absolutely. Again, on January 11th, we have The Genius Prince's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt. Yes, the absurdly long, crazy anime titles. This one's about a prince not wanting to rule his country because I guess he's lazy or stressed out. I'm not really entirely sure. But he's hoping for an opportunity to commit treason, which also seems extremely heavy-handed as a response to that situation, but anime, right? So he wants to be relieved from his duties, and he ends up coming up with a plan to auction off his kingdom, but he finds disastrous results, because by doing so, he actually gains the favor of his people. So, I don't know, I'll probably check that one out. It sounds goofy enough that, you know, sometimes goofy stuff catches my attention just because it's like a little weird or like characters just make wild decisions. So I probably will check that one out. The last one I'm going to talk about, because this isn't the most comprehensive list, but the last one I want to talk about is one that I actually am interested in, and it is called Ein no 831. It is set in present time, and the world is in turmoil due to some disaster that I really couldn't find any information on. During that time, there is a main character who is a young man who carries a secret. And that secret is that he can stop time around him. So that one sounds kind of cool with the special powers. I wasn't really sure where they're going to go with that, but apparently one day he meets a girl who has the same ability as him, but he finds out that she's actually being used as part of a crime. Twist. So he sets out to stop her, and that's what the anime is about. That one I'm actually really interested in. The artwork looks really good for it, and the synopsis is just weird enough, kind of like the boys getting that phone call, that I'm definitely going to be checking that one out. You guys will see a review of that. So that's all the anime that I came up with and wanted to cover just in its most tertiary bit here for the winter 2022 season that's upcoming. I'd like to know what kind of comments you guys have below. Was there anything that I missed? Was there something that I talked about and misrepresented? Or is there anything that I talked about that you guys are really excited about? Leave a comment below. And if you guys like this content, remember to give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more anime news, reviews, and gaming coverage, we got all sorts of exciting stuff. Remember to smash that subscribe. I'm Dre with Yokoso Otaku, and I'll catch you on the next one.